I think the government really is taking the piss with the Section 42. This Section 42 they've got for this, like putting an order down to prevent people going in certain areas, right? They've chosen the number 42. I think for a reason that there are other clauses with that number in other acts which are a bit of a wind-up. Like, for example, here's the Senior Courts Act 1981, and here there's a Section 42. So don't you think that number 42, like, 42 is meant to be that mystery number, like a magical number or something? You know, like, it's meant to be like an enigma number. There's something about the number 42, because there used to be a graffiti group called the 42 Crew, and they chose that number because it's meant to be this kind of like, you know, like 13 is meant to be like an unlucky number, but 42. Restriction of vexatious legal proceedings. It reckons here that they can get an order to stop people even bringing proceedings. It's a high court order, and it stops people even bringing proceedings because apparently they might be vexatious or harmful or whatever. But I can't see how they can prevent you from petitioning Parliament with that order, because Parliament is Parliament, and you've got the right to do it. People, I don't think that there's a lot. All of the procedures for legal proceedings are open to everyone. But it's the thing with court proceedings is you don't have to do them. There's something about the state of walking down the pavement, right, outside, and you're not breaking any law. And yes, you've got the right to walk down the pavement, but there's nothing. The thing is, right, there's no law written about that action. There is no law written down, right, that says you can specifically walk down there without anyone stopping you. It is only that you are doing something which is not legislated against. The thing with the right to petition, which you have to understand, is that there's something legislated that you can do something and no one can stop you from doing it, right? That is when you have the right to do something. When you are just doing something and there's no legislation around it, okay, nothing preventing you from doing it, but nothing saying that you can do it without anyone stopping you, that is not being within your rights. Black Belt Barrister might say, look, you're perfectly within your rights to walk down the road. He's actually wrong and misleading with that statement, because what they're doing is they're trying to create this belief that, like, as a citizen, you've got rights. You know, you've got the right, you know, the liberty of the city. They used to call it the liberty of the city, right? So what they're trying to paint a picture, they're trying to say that your rights are when there aren't anything saying that you can't do something, but that's not true. They're not rights, they're liberties. There's a difference between a right and a liberty. The liberty of the city is the freedom to do something without anyone saying that you can't, okay? Now, a right, when you've got a legal right, that's a bit different from a legal liberty. A legal right is that there is a law about what you're doing, but that law is that you can do this and no one can stop you, and you can't be held to any legal commitments or restrictions. And that's the difference, because what the right to petition prevents the police from stopping you from doing something. They don't have the right, okay? You see, if you're walking down the road, okay, and a police officer might say, oh, I'll stop and search you. You might look suspicious. You might not be doing anything wrong, and you actually might not be breaking any law, okay? But what right does the police officer have to stop you? Well, if he suspects you of this or that or that or that or that, then he's got a right to stop and search you, right? Only because the thing is, in the law, a law says that if he suspects you of something, he can stop and search you. But this is the thing. If you are holding up a placard which clearly states on it that an advertising board which says, get collecting signatures for, scrapping the police, right? It's clear that can't be taken off you. It can't be taken off you, that placard, right? Now, I suppose if you happen to be beating someone over the head with it, assaulting them, fair enough. But the thing with the actual sign is, this is the thing with Sadiq Khan, the mayor, right? He's saying that, people are harassing him or, they're doing a protest near his house. The thing is that sign with the message that it's got on it, and for conveying a message and evidence to the public of the political cause, transacting information to the public, then there is a right to do that. And it can't be, it's not illegal to do it anyway. There's no law that says you can't do it. But it's not just a liberty to be able to do it. There's liberty and there's laws. The law says that you can do that and you can't be stopped. It's effectively the same as if someone is breaking the law, then suddenly the police have a right to arrest them if they're breaking the law, right? As a person does commit an offence, the police do have a right to arrest them, unless there's something that says that it's illegal to arrest them. Now, the thing is, any messages which are qualifying for a change in the law or a law made or pursuing something to Parliament cannot offend. They're exempted from being able to offend, so therefore that message cannot be harassment. If someone happens to get annoyed with it, then that's a consequence of it, which is unfortunately unavoidable. And I don't think that the mayor can do anything about it, because otherwise, if for the reason that the mayor, doesn't want anyone doing a political campaign near his house, the thing is, the mayor could be the mayor of a small village or town, right, which is quite a small area. And if he lived near the town hall or next to it, right, and people are, collecting signatures and promoting a campaign to oppose his policies and things that he's doing, either to Parliament or to his mayor office, if he were to be able to say that's annoying and get rid of everyone from that area, that would mean they just couldn't do it in the town at all. And then they wouldn't have the right to oppose his policies in that town, just because on the merit of he was annoyed. And they wouldn't be able to get any signatures from anywhere else if it was a small village, because that's where everyone lives. So it just doesn't work. It can't work. That section is it's just flawed. And the thing is, if you got a load of people turned up in a bus, right, and the bus broke down, and a load of people get out, and they're all annoyed, and they all think, oh, the bus has broken down, and they wanted to go to the toilet, and the mayor's house was opposite, right? And like 30 people on a bus wanted to go take a pee in the mayor's toilet, and he got annoyed, right, and phoned the police up, right, to get an order on. Then fair enough, they're just wanting to wee, right, and they're on their way somewhere else, and it's got nothing to do whatsoever with any political action, and they're not invoking any rights, okay? So if a load of people broke down in a bus outside the mayor's house and they all wanted to take a pee in his toilet, he could probably get them moved. Or if they all wanted to drink of water, because they're not invoking any rights, and it's, a large group of people who might be harassing him. That's really what that law's for. The problem is that the police are refusing to, or they're awkward to, or they don't understand, or whichever of those reasons, either lack of training, lack of knowledge, they just don't think that it applies to them. They are acting as if everyone is really just acting in normal comings and goings of life. They're not actually they're not applying a enactment of a right that is in use, that the police don't have a right. The police do not have a right to move people if they're doing something for that purpose. And any messages or whatever they're holding, it cannot allow. They're not allowed to be interpreted as harassment. How you could look at it really is like this whole thing with the police presence. It's a little bit like the police presence. You could say that the police have a presence, and with all their walkie-talkies and their handcuffs and their gear, or even armed police at the airport, and you could say, that's intimidating, it's intimidation, you feel uneasy. And you could start saying, if there were a lot of them loitering around, armed police, you could say, that's harassment. The police are all... You could get the police coming past regularly, flashing a siren every time they drive past. And then you could start saying, no, you're just doing it to harass me now, whatever. Oh, no, we're just going about our business, though, doing our job. We're going about our police business. We have to have our sirens on. You should say, it's harassing me or annoying me. Then you could say to the police, don't drive past my road. If you're going for a crime, drive another way, because I find the police siren harassment. Oh, we're doing our job. We've got the right to do it. Well, actually, this is the same thing with the petition campaign. It's policing policies that you're pursuing policies. So it really, you're on the same par as, if the police are hanging around in a large group, you say, move them away. But, can you get an order to stop? The thing is, right, this is how you've got to look at it, right? At the end of the day, I thought of this quite a while ago, actually, right? Like you get these ASBOs, antisocial behaviour orders, and so forth. I know a guy. I don't know him personally. That Rob the Ratcatcher. He's actually attempted to arrest magistrates on a number of occasions. He was on Vobes, and he got a letter from the council in Portsmouth or Plymouth or Portsmouth, and he'd been banned from all the courts. Well, usually you've got a right to go into courts to spectate and watch, even if you're not called, but they banned him from all the courts. But obviously, does that mean that, you don't have to go to court anymore? Does that mean you got immunity? Well, apparently, if he got prosecuted, they could summon him, right? When he's been summoned, he could go to court. Well, can you imagine if you were feeling harassed by the police and you went to court and you got a court order to say the police weren't allowed to come anywhere near your house, right? Except when? Well, if you committed a crime, how would they come and arrest you? If you got a court order that the police were harassing you and they couldn't come to your house or come past your drive and put the siren on, right? Unless what? Unless, you'd done something wrong. But what happens if they need to go past for their job? This is the thing, if you got an order that the police were harassing you and the police weren't allowed to come anywhere near and under any circumstances, then really, how could they arrest you ever? Well, they couldn't, could they? That's really where you stand with the right to petition and with Sadiq Khan. they can't really do it on that principle and basis. That is, I think, the best way to understand it. If there's any lawyer like Black Belt Barrister or whoever wants to try and add any more technical arguments that are beyond my capacity into that, but the fact is they're not acknowledging that there's an enactment with provisions in it that apply and what makes what they're doing illegal, and therefore when they act, they're breaking the law, and it's a corrupt and illegal practice. Because they're trying. There's a number of reasons. Firstly, they're breaking up public meetings and stopping you transact things that you've got a lawful right to transact. They are the actual provision itself makes it an offence. You as much saying illegal prosecutions or arresting you. When they arrest you, you might not get charged, but they're questioning you and putting bail conditions on people. They've got these new laws where they're arresting people, questioning them. They're not charging them, but they're releasing them on bail, which is wrong. That didn't exist. For example, when I got done for putting notices up way before all this, I wouldn't. From what Extinction Rebellion and other people have been doing now, I mean, mine is definitely not even an offence anyway. It's not even a crime. But I went in for questioning about twice, and then each time, that was it. I never got, they want to just call me in for questioning. So, and then on the third time, I think it was, that's when I didn't know, what was going to happen. They said, oh, now we decided we're going to charge you. And that's when I had to take my shoes off, and then they put me in a cell. But I didn't know. I just thought I was going in for more questioning. And then that's when they released me on bail because I'd been charged, right? So I don't really know what all this, calling it bail while they're just under investigation. I guess, if they're not wanting people to leave the country or whatever or so forth. But you would have thought if there's enough evidence to prosecute someone, then they'd charge them. With these political actions, none of it is against the law, and it is actually protected. From a lot of these videos we've just been seeing recently as well now, a lot of these people aren't doing anything. They're just standing there. And the thing is, the police are moving them on, but they have got a right to be there anyway. And it's really this new law they've put in with this, section whatever, it's really coming to light now and showing that people have actually ended up going through a lot of hassle and a lot of horrible treatment in the cells, when people are ill, getting handcuff marks, getting bleeding, all kinds of stuff, over actually something and nothing. Actually, nothing really happened. The police were just being, now, the police and the mayor might say, well, these protesters are being annoying or whatever, but no, they've got a legitimate cause. The mayor has, implemented these cameras which are finding hundreds of thousands of people, and people don't like it. They want to stop it. So it's back to that old saying again, according to the harm. There's that old line saying, which is in law, according to the harm. Well, there is a lot of harm being done to people through fines and penalties. So the response is according to the harm. Now, if you think of all the money Sadiq Khan's making, the mayor, and how much people he's trying to take the cars off them, and people have got bills to pay en masse all around London, the response should be according to the harm. So the mayor is, he has to put up with, the thing with the title of the mayor is this, right? He wanted to be the mayor, right? And in that title, you're making decisions and things that people might not agree with or not like. So you're inviting grievance, right? If you don't want to invite grievance en masse, it's likely not the job for you. So, it comes with the job. It's almost like in this election at the moment, I've been complaining about people, councillors, government officials, MPs, helping their colleagues get elected when, the government aren't allowed to assist people getting elected, and when they act under their title of councillor or MP, that's government. You can't drop the title. So really only the political party headquarters and the agent and volunteers who support the party are meant to be helping the campaign, right? That's what they get the funding for, not the government, right? All their friends aren't allowed to give them a hand up and pull them up into government. They can spectate and watch, but they're not allowed to lend a hand. Otherwise, they're giving them a hand up into the government. So, this is the thing. And what the police are doing is giving Sadiq Khan a hand by moving the supporters away, opposition away from campaigning around his area. Now, that's wrong because the police are actually canvassing the opposition away. They're canvassing opposition away from the mayor because he doesn't want to lose support for himself in his own area immediately, and it's annoying him. But tough, that's almost like saying, you don't want, effectively, it would, in a way, really, it's almost like if the council closed down the complaints department and said, these complaints are vexatious or they're annoying us, you got a right to complain. I mean, it's like this court thing here. This act that I've got up here claims that, vexatious court cases, but, the thing with the law and politics is that, Parliament is above, this is for the normal courts, Parliament is different. You've always got a right to, you can't be stopped from grievances. And I think they're trying to make a point out of this. I think that Section 42 that they're using and the fact that there's this other act as well at Section 42, it's almost, this act here, this particular Section 42 is almost claiming that it could altogether take away your right to petition, which they can't do. It's almost like the Tumultuous Petitioning Act when, you couldn't petition unless you got consent from the courts. I think they've got the idea from that, but they can't take away, the mayor isn't the court, the mayor is the council. And no matter, campaigns are meant to be vexatious, they definitely are. Because you're vexated by what the council's doing. It's on par with, this response according to the harm. Anything the council does at any time, you could say, oh, that's vexatious law. You're giving me a parking fine. It's upsetting me. It's, oh, no, we've got a legal right to do it. It says that we can do it. We've got to the point now where if, Rishi Sunak, Suella Braverman, all these people, your own speech in your own house. In Scotland now, they're saying that you can't say this or that in your own house. In a way, in a way, really, you see, what I think the SNP party, the way they're going with it, the SNP, and really, the Conservative Party really, or they're not going about it as quite as intensely. But what's really happening is that the SNP leader, this Humas Yousaf, right? Humas Yousaf, right? Really, the way I see it, with all these, kind of racial and racist arguments, and what you can and can't say in the privacy of your own house, it's a little bit like the king, like it's illegal to overthrow the monarchy or plan to, right? Well, it's a miracle that you can petition the king with a grievance against him, like say that he's done something wrong, which is like the Privy Council take an oath so they can't even understand, imagine, or complain. You know, the king can't do anything wrong, you know. But, you know, if you're saying the king's done something wrong, you're saying that he's bad, we've got a right to do that. We've got a legal right to complain to the king that he's doing something wrong, even though the Privy Council cannot even, you know, imagine, understand or contemplate it, right? And in a way, it's kind of nuts because, try to explain it this way, right? So, if it was illegal to say anything bad about the king, or even complain about anything that he did, right? Then you wouldn't really be able to petition a grievance. And what happens if the king, you're not allowed to say anything bad about him in the house, right? Then that's really the way they're going now with this free speech thing, or to do with different sexualities and races and stuff like that. They're all kind of acting like kings, but not kind of like liberal ones or modern ones. Going back to, you know, before you had the right to petition, what the king was doing was that, you know, if you even questioned or challenged his religion, right, you would have your ears cut off or whatever, or publishing books. You were getting punishments even for questioning it, right? That's really what we're going back to with this Yousaf guy and really Privy Patel and Suella Braverman, really. They really don't like critique, but it starts off with race or religion, but then it starts going into other things. And really, I think this SNP leader, this Yousaf guy, what he's behaving like the old kings when you couldn't say anything bad about them, but for whatever reason, not really race or religion specifically, just anything bad, whatever. You just can't say it. He don't want you to be able to say it, not even in your own house. And the ironic thing is this, which is a big switch around, which is the Privy Council can't understand any bad or wrongdoing from the king. They're not allowed to understand it in their brain, right? Well, wouldn't it be great if we could all do that about ourselves? Wouldn't it be great if we could get Yousaf in his brain to not be able to understand anything bad that anyone said about him? That would be great, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be great if we could get Yousaf to swear the Privy Council? Wouldn't it be great if we were all kings? You know, every man a king, right? What happens if we got Yousaf to swear an oath, and Suella Braverman and Privy Patel? What if we got them to swear an oath like the Privy Council? If you come into England, right, you cannot understand any bad that we say or any wrong. You can't comprehend or understand it. That would be all right, wouldn't it? Because then we could say what we wanted and they wouldn't understand it or comprehend it, you know? That's effectively what the Privy Council are working with the king, you know, but we're going the other way around now. Unfortunately, what's happening is that what Yousaf's doing is casting a spell that anything that we say, that you know, what he's doing is he's every single thing that we could possibly say is to be understood as wrong. Anything, it's like the opposite, isn't it? Like with the king, nothing that the king does is to be understood or possibly intellectualized or seen as bad, right? With us, now what's happening is that everything that we do is starting to be understood as bad. It's like Yousaf and Suella Braverman and Privy Patel, you know. So anything that you say is now going to be interpreted as bad, you know. I like pink. No, that's bad, that, you know. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, I think that we should start making some of these people who are coming into England swear an oath, you know, of the British nationality. You know, what does it mean to be British? You know, forgiveness, the Archbishop of Canterbury, you know, The Archbishop of Canterbury maybe needs to get some smelling salts out of the Privy Council and say, spellcasting, no one who holds a British passport, birth certificate or driving licence who has a British nationality can possibly understand, interpret or see anything that anyone says in the country as offensive or upsetting. Wouldn't it be all right if you just click your fingers and do that? Then we'd be all right, because then you can say what you want, which is meant to be what free speech is. I think there's definitely something wrong in the minds of these people. They definitely. I think that what we really need to do is get Charles on a baby breeding program. If Charles and Wills can have more children, more babies, if they could start knocking more babies out, maybe we get maybe we could get Harry, on a sex porn farm. And Wills on a sex porn farm and get loads of royal kids banged out and then replace the whole country with royals, maybe then Yousaf and Privy Patel would have a problem, because then everything that we said could not be understood or intellectualized as bad, So if we all had Prince Harry, Dirty Harry clones and Wills clones, right? And Charles clones. What we could do is clone Charles. I think that's the solution with Yousaf. What we'll do for Yousaf and Privy Patel and Suella Braverman is we'll all clone Charles. And we could all, if we all were Charles, then we could, they wouldn't be able to be allowed to be understood and we could all, swear them into our own Privy Council, What we'll do is we'll swear in, Suella Braverman, Privy Patel and Yousaf and Sunak into our Privy Council if we're all Charles lookalikes, and then they cannot possibly understand, intellectualise anything we say as bad or evil. I propose this to Sunak. Sunak, when we've all replaced the entire population of England with Charles clones, we'll swear you into our Privy Council, and then you cannot possibly understand, interpret, or see any evil or bad in what we say or do. So, effectively, you might as well, clock out and go home, because there won't be any laws to make. In fact, if we were all Charles clones, you effectively could shut down Parliament, because you wouldn't need any laws. It would be like, Prince Andrew, overtaking people on the outside lane past the traffic lights, straight through the traffic lights with a police escort. It could just, go straight down there, out of the way, Peck, this is no evil, this is no harm, out of the way, Sunak, get out of the way, Peck, Get out of the way, Peck. Why don't you chew on that one? I'd like Sunak to chew on that one, This is Sunak's favourite scene from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, in Nam Shiba, Nam Shiba. I think that's the that's got to be the Privy Council Oath, hasn't it? Nam Shiba, Nam Shiba. Come on, Sunak, snap out of it. No, Nam Shiba. Oh, it's the old Privy Council Oath again. Still Privy Council Oath. Nam Shiba, Nam Shiba. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, unless you're eating monkey brains out of a feast for three or whatever. Sat at a table with fucking Steven Spielberg. And Harrison Ford. I think that's pretty much it, Although I didn't want to have to go around the houses with that, but I hadn't even got to the proper section 23 yet. Can we even find it, or is it loads of other? Oh, sorry, 42. Are there loads of other section 42s which are meant to be jokes? Joke section 42s, like other clauses which make a point. I think the thing is, every single act's got a section 42 on it. Every single act of law will have a section 42, unless it only goes up to, like, you know, section 10. So, you know, how many section 42s are there? Section 42 of the Agriculture. Landlord fails to respond. I think it definitely is that one that it's that one that I found before. It's the one that says that, you know, you can be excluded from going to an area if it might cause harassment or to someone, but they're not applying the right to petition to it. They're just treating it as if, you know, like your bus has broke down and outside Sadiq Khan's house and people are on the way to Scarborough to feed pigeons, and, you know, they all want to use his toilet and keep knocking at the door. You know, like there's a queue of 30 people to use Khan's toilet, and, you know, he tells the police to get them to move on because they're harassing him. I think, like, that's what the act's meant to be made for. Not, you know, there's a group of people down the road from Khan who are all opposing the cameras that he put out and charging them loads of money and annoying them. Therefore, the consequences of his actions as mayor, you know, people are responding according to the harm that has been done to them through it. And he's not too happy about them persuading his local neighbours to, you know, oppose that policy. Fair enough if they, you know, it's questionable whether or not they could go into, you know, swaying the election or not. But the thing is, it definitely is his policy as mayor. So there is a right to oppose that policy, whether it's through Parliament or through the council. Otherwise, like I said, if it's you can't I don't think you can do it, because if, like I said, if you've got a really little village, right, and you can't stop people from having a political opinion in the village, because how would you, if the mayor lived in a village, right, and there was only 50 people in it, how are those people going to go collecting signatures down his street? You know, that they're not. So you won't be able to do it. It's not workable. And I don't know how the police work it out that it is workable. They're either stupid, don't care, or just following orders. But there comes a point as a police officer where you have to understand the law, because you're trained in it. And, you know, if you're in the wrong job, if you're just going to obey sergeant orders when they're ordering you to break the law, I think you've got to suffer the consequences in court yourself. That's an illegal, you know, the law makes it illegal for the police to do certain things. And I think that if you want to be a police officer and you believe in enforcing the law against other people, then, you know, it's a bit of a, it's stupid if you're not going to yourself obey it. But then again, there's loads of dodgy stuff that's going on with the elections at the moment. And that's down to the Electoral Commission, really.